This is Aussie Mac Zone. We'll cover everything Apple, including Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more. All this from an Aussie perspective. Sit back, relax, and insert yourself into the zone. The Aussie Mac Zone.
Hi everybody, welcome to show 247 Aussie Mac Zone. This week you're stuck with Zarn and Michael again. How are you, Zarn?
Fantastic, Michael. I wouldn't say stuck. You got the best two possible people to do the show.
Available tonight.
That's right.
And Garth, I hope you're feeling better. He was a bit crook, so that's why he hasn't quite made it. Bit delirious he was.
And he was also sick, which is,
Yeah.
poor him. He's always delirious.
So this week's sponsors, ithelptoyou.com.au and Aussie Tech Radio. And we start our Aussie Apple ramblings with our first story. China looks to increase advanced manufacturing by supplying OLED displays to Apple. 9 to 5 reports, Apple currently relies exclusively on Samsung for its supply of OLED displays for the iPhone X. And according to a new report from the Wall Street Journal, however, China is pushing to become a supplier of OLED displays to OLED displays to Apple as part of its efforts to increase its advanced manufacturing. The report says that BOE Technology Group is seeking to supply Apple with OLED displays for future iPhone models. Currently, BOE supplies displays for the iPad and MacBook and is the #1 supplier of large LCD screens. BOE is currently the only Chinese display company that supplies Apple and is controlled by the Beijing city government. For Apple, this means choosing BOE as a supplier would help it stay in good terms with the Chinese government. The move would also help China as it competes with Japan and South Korea in advanced manufacturing. Now, if it succeeds, BOE will not only prove its manufacturing prowess with a technically challenging product, but also will score a big win for China in its race to catch up to South Korea and China. Buying display screens from BOE, which is controlled by the Beijing city government and whose biggest shareholders are state-linked companies, could help Apple stay in China's good graces, as long as BOE can meet Apple's high bar for quality. I wonder if they're the new suppliers. I would have said there was a change for MacBook Air screens for repairs.
Yeah.
Because the way that the cables come back to us now is different than the way they used to.
Okay, yeah.
And they're hard. They come done up harder with sticky tape, like with masking tape on the end of the static-proof bags.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're like they're tighter, so it's harder to get them off.
That's not a bad thing.
It's annoying. That's 5 minutes more to every job.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but also LG is also supposedly becoming an iPhone X or an OLED screen supplier.
Oh, wow.
May not be the iPhone X because it probably changed its name in September this year, so it'll be something else.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to that too. So, see what new phones are coming.
Yes, we'll find out.
And maybe that's why China, the company in China. What was the name of the company?
BOE.
BOE. Maybe that's why they've got the contract. Maybe they're going to be making these new screens.
Don't know.
For a new phone. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's a rumor here first. Yep.
And the screens are OLED screens are harder to make, as Samsung knows. So be interested to see if they can do it.
Awesome.
Story number 2, Apple. We don't have many stories because there's not actually too much news been happening that I can find. So Apple
it's that time of year, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Financial year and everything like that. So everything's sort of slowing down, and we're waiting. It'll only be a few weeks, but you know, next week there'll be some big news, I'm sure.
Apple loses Siri's last co-founder. So 59-year-old Ton Gruber, the last 3 Siri co-founders at Apple, reportedly retired from his role as head of Siri's advanced development group. Now, Google's former head of AI and search, John Giandera, I think his name's pronounced, was hired last week to adopt and improve the voice assistant. So he's actually the one responsible for it.
Yeah.
And hopefully this new parent can develop Siri into a more expansive and accurate voice assistant, kind of like what Giandera did with the Google Assistant. But I don't know whether we need that quite that much, because Siri's going to know beforehand what we want to do, as opposed to having to look. Anyway, that we'll see what happens. We're looking forward to seeing what happens with Siri.
Yep, definitely.
And the new iOS app. So now I just want to remind everybody we are approaching show 250. Yeah, go.
No, I was just saying, yay.
Yay, 250. It's a lot of shows.
It is.
It's a lot of shows. IT Help to You will be providing some iTunes/Apple gift cards as prizes for listener stories, thoughts, questions about the past, the present, or the future. So please send something in, Michael at Aussie Mac Zone. Get it in, get it to us so we can talk about it. Whatever you want to talk about, that's what we're trying to get for show 250.
Come and like the Aussie Mac Zone page, and don't forget to also like the IT Help to You Facebook page as well, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's all right.
Say that, reminding us about that, But if we can please get us some stories in. I know there's people from all over the world that listen to the show, and we'd like to thank you very much. And just
absolutely. And send us a story.
Send us a story, send us a card, send us a question, send us just a hello, just so we can tell people
say hi.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not only Australian people that can win prizes, I promise you.
That's right.
Now there's a photo for this one.
Yes.
New Aussie emojis are coming. So Apple has announced that 70 new emojis are coming. Some with a distinct Aussie feel.
Like
they're being kangaroo, a lyrebird, and a mango.
Well, there's a peacock on here, on the picture. There's a peacock, which isn't Australian. It's not a native Australian bird, is it?
You're calling that a peacock. I'm calling it a lyrebird. Isn't it the same?
No, they're not the same.
Yeah, but that's definitely an Australian bird.
It's a peacock.
I know that is an Australian bird.
Okay, I could be wrong. Like if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
So that'll make people look up to see what's going on, won't it?
That's right.
Now, even though mangoes are Australian and India have a big influence on mangoes, the mango is important because fruit lovers from Queensland will also be thrilled with the news a mango has been added to the food section. Its addition follows a social media campaign, #Mango Emoji Please, that was funded by the Aussie growers during the 2016 season. So, well done, team. It's known as Australia's summer fruit now.
Oh, wow.
Now, story 4, we've got Apple reveals new design for Melbourne concept store at Federation Square after a public backlash. So we've got a little picture there of how it's going to look from the river.
Yep.
That's the riverside of Federation Square, which admittedly I've never actually been into the building that's at the river end of Federation Square the few times that I've been there. I might have been there 10 times for different things. I've been to the museum next door, but never into that building down the back. So I didn't even know that it was there, to be honest. But the ABC Australia reports controversial plans to build a flagship Apple store at Federation Square have been redesigned following criticism. The original draft was ugly and created without public consultation.
Yeah.
In December, the Victorian government revealed the 3-storey Yarra building at Federation Square would be demolished to make way for the tech giant's 2-storey concept store. There was a strong public backlash to the original plans, which feature a copper-coloured pagoda-style facade that's some dubbed a Pizza Hut pagoda. A new design has now been unveiled, transforming the building into a rectangle with a glass facade on the ground floor and a coloured mesh facade on the second floor. It would include a publicly accessible balcony that overlooks the Yarra River and an amphitheatre for public performances. The chief executive of Federation Square, Jonathan Tribe, said the new design was more sympathetic to the style of the existing space. The original design was very much a concept plan and was always subject to refinement, Mr. Tribe said. Now, the other picture, which shows people where it is more in relation to the whole Federation Square area, but the new design is already copying criticism. The National Trust said while it was encouraging that Apple was open to redesigning the building, it did not respond to the fundamental concerns that were proposed about the demolition of a significant building.
Yeah.
But I can't say I know how old that building is. I don't know whether it's an old one or because Federation Square is only fairly new. That's what I'm a bit. Anyway, the updated design has also been prepared without community consultation with its most important stakeholders, the people of Victoria, Chief Executive National Trust Simon Ambrose said. Community groups echoed that sentiment. We think Apple doesn't fit in Federation Square, Tanya DeVige from Citizens for Melbourne said. Federation Square should primarily be based around people, not Apple products. I'm telling you, the building that they're putting up takes out about 1/16 of the Federation Square. So it's...
We can see how big it is in the photo here.
Yeah.
They've got the design, then they're trying to show you what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
I think the reason why that was a bit of an upheaval about the other building is because they had the Aboriginal land rights and community based stuff in there, and they're now going to have to relocate, or they are relocating, or have relocated, and they had been there since I can't remember. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't remember the date, but I know they've been there for a while now. And I guess the community saw it as sort of not underhanded, but they weren't consulted. And you know what Melbourneites are like with their, where things go and how things work. They're not like us here in Sydney. We just all of a sudden get a tollway, through and a new M4 when we're paying tolls, and everyone's like, oh, well, we have to use it. We'll protest a little, but we're still going to have to use it. Melbourne's got a bit more of a bigger protest voice than we do. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no. Just speaking about the M4, they've changed the off-ramp at the Church Street off-ramp.
Yep.
And I think that's to make it, and admittedly people were a bit crappy the way they pulled off there sometimes, but they've really brought it down to one lane again now.
Yeah.
And I think that's to make it harder to get over in the morning. So people tend to go, oh, this is too hard, it'll just pave the toll. So I wasn't very impressed when I saw that the other day.
That's a bit rude, isn't it?
It was. I just didn't like the way they did it. But also, another thing, just on this picture of Federation Square.
Yep.
Most of that is all new building. So
that's right.
I honestly don't know how old the other building was.
Yep.
But also in the background, there's railway lines, which is now apparently that's
the tramway.
No, that's all railway line.
Oh wow, it is too. Yeah, you're right. Yep, I can see it.
And I think that's the most amount of railway lines in one area in the southern hemisphere, at least.
Oh wow.
From memory, I remember that's a little trick about that part of Melbourne just there.
So I will quickly Google. Oh no, I won't. I'll do it. I'll tell you next week. It's okay.
Yeah. So I'm running out of stories because, like I said, I haven't found many stories. There was one other one that I'll bring up before we get on to some how-tos that I've got this week. But so I've got. So we had Apple iOS 11.4.1 released during the week at different stages.
Yeah.
but apparently there's some issues. So just if you may not want to do it straight away, pardon me. It explains its features and its benefits, and there's been some security breaches already, and far more fundamental. The growing number of iPhone and iPad owners that report after upgrading to 11.4.1, they can no longer update any apps from the App Store.
Yeah.
So now it's supposedly 11.4.1 fixes an issue that prevented some users from viewing the last known location of their AirPods. It improves reliability of syncing mail, contacts, and notes with Exchange accounts. But yeah, just be aware. Maybe you want to hang off for a little while if you need to update your apps, because there's a lot of apps being updated at the moment too, as the developers are getting ready for iOS 12, so that they've got everything ready when it comes out. So just be aware that there's a couple of things. One of the biggest things with 11.4.1 is the security, where after you've had it, if you haven't turned it on for an hour, it turns off the USB port, so people can't tap into your get information off your phone via the Lightning port. So you've actually got to open it yourself to get back into it. So that makes that port active again. So that's probably the biggest thing that I can think of with that update. Now, a reminder this week, we're also brought to you by Aussie Tech Radio at aussietechradio.com. It has podcasts from around Australia. It goes 24/7. It's updated on Fridays. But it's also got the My Tech Opinion podcast, pardon me, and our sister podcast, Aussie Tech Crypto, and our brother podcast, the award-winning Aussie Tech Heads podcast. So excellent. And just, I promise you'll always learn something.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just flicking through, was it Macworld UK?
Yeah.
And I got, what are we looking for? So there's a crypto, what's this, Mac OS X, 10 users increasingly targeted by crypto mining malware. It says crypto mining malware is increasingly targeting Mac OS X or 10 operating systems left untreated. These infections chronically stress devices' hardware and wear them out prematurely. Simply running an anti-malware solution can avoid any such issues and prolong the life of your devices.
So there's a free software you can download called Malwarebytes, BYTES, malwarebytes.com. You can download that, the freebie version, run it. You don't have to leave it running. You just run it once a week, once a fortnight, if you think there's anything going on. But don't forget, the only way the software can get on is if you put your username and password in. So if you're trying to watch a video or click on some stupid email, it's got a link, and it says, "Oh, we need to install something to do it." Don't do it. Don't do it. That's all I can tell you. Unless you know it's from a trusted person, don't do it.
Absolutely.
If you want to watch videos, VLC, it's a great little video app. It's free, and there's nothing you can't watch on it. You never have to install anything. So, yeah. Now, I've got a little thing here. So people with MacBook Airs and MacBook Pros go, and this MacBook Air 13s, sometimes they run out of hard drive area, SSD area. They might only have a 128 gig drive or a 256 gig drive. It doesn't take very long to fill it up if you're taking photos, from your phone or whatever. I'll put a link to this in the show notes, of course, but just holding it up. Is that the right place, Zarn? People can see that?
Bring it back a little bit, just so we can see. There we go.
Yeah, bit better there.
Yeah.
So, it's just a little... SD card. So it takes a micro SD card into here, plugs into the SD card slot of the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, but instead of sticking out like 6 or 8 mil like a SD card does, where they get knocked and broken, and it's just enough sticking out to grab hold of it. But you can put 256 micro SD card in there and double your memory, or have a backup, or I personally have had my iTunes and iPhoto library on the SD card because you don't use it very often, and Photos library, I should say, not iPhoto. And yeah, great little things these, and they're cheap as. So yeah, that's one little bit for you this week. That's the storage.
Yep.
Yeah. And my second how-to, which has got another photo.
It does.
So here's how you can download all the 5K wallpaper loaded on the demo iPad Pro models at the Apple Store. So 9 to 5 Mac reports, when Apple started using new photos on the boxes of the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, we managed to source the 4 images, which we have a link to, but before they were included on the units when they were shipped. But a Redditor airdropped them to himself at the Apple Store and posted them online. He initially used Imager, again, which we have a link, which has got the original pictures in it, but it was quickly pointed out that the site reduces the resolution, so they are now being re-uploaded to WeTransfer, again, a link, in full 5K. So they've got 5K images, all these different things that, now admittedly they are photos rather than wallpaper, but you can clearly select them because they also make great background images. There is one missing from the WeTransfer set, the spectacular aerial shot of Buenos Aires, which is what you're looking at on the screen, which is available separately at another link. And you can also download the new iPhone and iPad wallpaper found in iOS 12. So, yeah, there's plenty there. Some really nice pictures, but really nice pictures. If you've been to the shops, the Apple stores, and had a look at them, really good.
Awesome. I just also like reading Mac rumors and stuff like that as we're chatting away, because we're a bit light on
stories.
Mac rumors here says Apple seemingly unable to recover data from 2018 MacBook Pros with Touch Bar when logic board fails. In 2016, when Apple introduced the first Mac Pro with Touch Bar models, the repair experts at iFixit discovered that notebooks have non-removable SSDs.
Yeah, they're soldered onto the main book.
Yeah, soldered onto the logic board, promoting concern that data recovery would not be possible if the logic board failed. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. Apple has a special tool for 2016, 2017 models, which we know, of this MacBook Pro Touch Bar, genuine bars, and let me see where we're going with this. The tool essentially a little black box that is able to transfer data from a failed logic board. We know all about that. What's it saying? Get to the point.
On the logic board, they have got a special connector, which I think is probably so effectively when you put this cable in, black box is just supplying power to the SSD and making it effectively turning it into a USB drive that you then use to do the data recovery, and it's probably powering only just the RAM to get it out. So yeah.
So they're saying with the 2018 models, will not fail-proof the tool. Yada yada. Here we go. Last week, iFixit completed the teardown, which I have at the moment. I haven't watched it yet, but I have it. iFixit completed the teardown of the 2018 MacBook, discovering that Apple has removed the data recovery connector from the logic board on both 13 and 15-inch models.
Okay.
Yeah, with the touch bar suggesting that the customer data migration tool can no longer be connected. MacRumor contacted multiple reliable sources at Apple, authorized service providers to learn more, and based on the information we obtained, it does appear that the tool is incompatible with the model. Multiple sources claim that the data cannot be recovered if the logic board has failed, so a 2018 MacBook Pro, if the notebook is still functioning, data can be transferred to another Mac by booting the system, and all that sort of stuff.
Normal ways, yeah.
Yep. Data recovery port will likely removed because 2018 MacBook Pro models featured Apple's custom T2 chip, which provides hardware encryption for the SSD storage.
So if you've got encryption turned on,
that should be right then. If it should all go into the SSD, then shouldn't it?
Yeah, but it's encrypted.
Yep.
So it makes it basically if you can't unencrypt it.
Yep.
So therefore, it makes it impossible. No need to recover it anyway. So it's even more important to have your time capsule backup, time machine backup, or some other, another really good one, carbon copy cloner.
Yep.
There's one other one which I can't remember its name because I don't use it, but lots of other people do. Starts with a D. No, I can't think what it is off the top of my head. But yeah, there are 2 or 3, carbon copy cloner will let you make an exact backup, so it's bootable. So if you do a backup, then your machine failed right now, you could plug it in and boot it again.
Yeah.
So it's even more important to do your backup. I just harp on about backups all the time, but yeah, they're so important for people. I had a bloke who just recently his hard drive failed, and about 2 days later his Mac failed. It's like his backup hard drive failed, and just said, came up and said, I haven't been backed up for 10 days or whatever it said, and then he said my Mac stopped working. So whether he was getting power surges or power fluctuations, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're both.
But if they both fail like that,
but they both hard drives fail. But so it's either that or whether he downloaded something that was bad, I don't know. But so don't forget. Show notes link each week on the show upload. So when you look at the upload, it'll have a link to our show notes. We're on Spotify, so just search for Aussie Mac Zone. There's Apple News, so don't forget, just go to Apple News, search for Aussie Mac Zone and press the heart. And thank you to our sponsors, this week being ithelptoyou.com.au and AussieTechRadio.com. And our supporters, you, our listeners. Thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone for listening. Thanks to our sponsors. Thank you to Michael once again at 2:47. 3 shows to go.
Yep.
Or 2 shows really. And then it's
2:48, 2:49.
And then it's our 250th show.
Knocking them down. It's great.
It is. It's fantastic. All right, guys. Remember, Apple a day keeps Androids away. Thanks.